What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And I want to give you guys a quick market update this morning as Bitcoin has finally broken down out of its sideways range that we've been trading in for about 80 days. Yes, it was absolutely brutal to watch Bitcoin be so boring for so long. But as you guys know, those ranges make for some really good trading for us short-term traders, but it gets a little boring in the long term for those hodlers. But guys, we have finally broken down out of this range and we have approached our next level of major support that we've been looking at on my live stream for about 2 or 3 weeks now, maybe even longer than that. But that level is coming in at about $25,300 and we have approached this level. And as you guys know, this was a major level, or the next major level that I was going to be interested in taking some long positions. And as we've approached this level, we are starting to get some signals on Market Cipher B that could be indicating that we are looking to get some relief to come in here in the short term. But I want to talk about if this is going to be some kind of a major bounce or just a short-term lackluster bounce to just go put in another lower high and then roll back down to the downside. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the charts and talk about this move to the downside and what we can expect out of this next support level that we just wound up coming down to. Let's get into it. So guys, here we are on the Bitcoin daily chart, and as you guys know, the range I am talking about is this range right here, basically coming in between about 28,500 with the value area low coming in at about 26,700. And again, we traded within this range, guys, for about 80 days, which is absolutely insane. And like I said, this does make for some really good range trading, but it's not the best for exciting YouTube content, and it could bore those hodlers to sleep as we didn't really get too many major swings in the market throughout this entire 80 days. Other than this swing up to 30K, it was pretty boring, right? But we have finally broken down out of this range, guys, as you can see. And you guys know we've been looking at this head and shoulders on the higher time frames right here. And we were talking about how this may wind up breaking Bitcoin down to some lower levels, even past the $25,300 level that we just came down to. And one of the things that was making us a little bit cautious about this, guys, was the fact that if you go ahead and draw your neckline, now this is a little bit sloppy, but you will get the point. If you go ahead and draw your neckline, as we got this move up to about 28,300, we were concerned that this may have just been a bearish retest of that neckline before a bigger breakdown, which is why we were more interested in shorting lower highs rather than looking for moonshot longs from the bottom of the range. Now, don't get me wrong, we definitely caught a savage scalp trade, almost caught the exact bottom here in the premium Discord to ride this move up, but we were actually looking at 28.3 to be our final target for that trade. And again, the reason for that was because we were cautious of this being a bearish retest of the neckline of this major head and shoulders pattern. And we were also looking at things such as the daily money flow being in the red, which still looks pretty ugly, and that 2-day money flow also being in the red as well. This is a pretty nasty look for the medium-term price action on Bitcoin, which again was why we were more comfortable shorting the lower high rather than holding this long up for, you know, that $33,000, $34,000 level that we would likely hit if we broke these highs up here at $31,000. Now, as we have broken out of this range, we have approached our next major level of support coming in at about $25,300. Again, this is a level that we've been talking about on the live stream for basically the last 80 days as we've been trading within this sideways range, and we have come down and almost tapped the level perfectly, just coming barely shy of that $25,300 level. However, guys, we are starting to get some interesting signals on Market Cipher B that could indicate somewhat of a decent bounce coming in here. Some things on the short-term time frames that have printed, some have confirmed, but there's also some things on the higher time frames that are not printing yet, but it does look like we could set up for some more macro bullish signals to get some kind of a bounce off of this level. And I want to talk to you guys about kind of what I would expect out of these bounces. Am I expecting a moonshot? Am I expecting a scalp? I will let you guys know in just a second, but first off, I want to come down to the lower time frames. And as you can see, guys, we have actually put in a bullish divergence on some of these lower time frames on Market Cypher B with our lower prices on our price action, with our higher lows on our momentum waves, giving us that bullish divergence into our key level of support. And indeed, this did give us a move to the upside. Now, this is a setup that I put in the premium Discord, but literally as I was posting this to the premium Discord to let them know, hey guys, we got a few different bull divs on these time frames, could get a bounce at this level, what confirmations to look for, all that good stuff. Right after I posted in the Discord, price started ripping, and I actually wound up missing my entry, so I am actually in the process of waiting for a pullback, which hopefully we'll get to go ahead and look for a new entry point. However, with my frustration aside, that 24-minute bull div was a decent signal that we were going to get some kind of a bounce off of this level. We also got this on the 30-minute, and we are currently printing a bullish divergence on the 1 hour. And on top of that, if you take a look at your 24-minute money flow, it is starting to cruise to the upside, and your 30-minute money flow is starting to round off as well. And this could be a pretty good sign for a continued bounce to come in here, guys, because we also have the higher hourly time frame starting to print some green dots. We have the 4-hour green dot confirmed. We have a 5-hour green dot printing, 6-hour green dot printing, and your 8-hour is getting very close to printing a green dot. And if you work your way up these time frames, a lot of the higher hourly time frames are rolling up with the VWAPs, indicating that we may get that continued bounce to come in here, especially with the money flow coming up on the lower time frames. You could see it here again on the 15-minute and again on the 24-minute. And when you mix those lower time frame money flows with your higher time frame green dots, sometimes you can get some decent confluence to get a continued move to the upside, and sometimes those moves can be big. Although I would expect a potential continued move to the upside, guys, just based off the 1-hour bull div and that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-hour green dots printing. They may be able to continue us to the upside a little bit here, but one thing I do want to point out is money flow still looks pretty nasty on the medium hourly time frames, which would indicate that any bounce that we have come in here may just be a short-term lackluster bounce to put in a lower high and then continue lower to the downside, because the money flow indicates the longer-term trend. So if I were able to get my entry here, hopefully some people in the Discord were able to get some entries, but it did start to rip almost immediately. It's like as soon as I hit enter to post that setup, price just started absolutely ripping. But again, just because of the money flow on the higher hourly time frames, guys, the 8-hour is back in the red, actually starting to curve back around there, not gonna lie, but your 10-hour is in the red now. Your 12-hour is also coming out with your money flow, and then again, the daily and the 2-day also still in the red here. So even on the higher daily time frames, guys, the 3-day is rolling out with the money flow as well. So with all that being said, in the short term, guys, things actually don't look too bad for a short-term bounce. Again, even that 10-hour and 12-hour, the VWAPs are coming up, looking for green dots, which definitely could continue that move, but with the money flow fighting against it, again, I would be looking to short some lower highs. So some of the levels I would be looking at for some lower highs to come in, number one would be this purple box, which is basically the value area low of our macro and our local range here that we were trading in. And a lot of times price will like to come up and retest these levels before rejecting back to the downside. And you also have your point of control in that same area as well. Now, you can also go ahead and pull some fib levels to see where your golden pockets come into. So you could pull from this local high all the way to the low, and you can see you do have decent confluence with your local golden pocket, which is another common place for price to come up, put in that lower high before rolling back to the downside. So, guys, we finally got the breakdown from that range. I started to feel pretty crazy looking at that $25,300 level thinking, hey, are we ever going to get down there? And finally, we got the breakdown, and we have gotten a bounce off of this level with some bullish confirmations on a decent amount of time frames. However, again, guys, I do want to stress, until the money flow starts to look better on these higher time frames, which obviously, as of right now, they are not looking good. Until that starts to turn around, I would expect any bounces to come in here to be local lackluster bounces to put in those lower highs before continuing to the downside. And that 4-hour green dot was kind of the trigger that we were talking about on my live stream last night, saying I wouldn't be expecting any kind of a move to the upside until that 4-hour green dot prints. And shout out to Market Cypher, that 4-hour green dot prints, and we finally get a little bit of a move to the upside. So I think that's all the time I got for today's market update. Watch those lower highs to potentially come in, and watch those levels I just pointed out on the chart for a potential rejection back to the downside. And if we come back down into that $25,300 level, we do also have the local value area high from our previous range coming in at about $24,444. So that should give us a little bit of backup support if we break that 25.3 level. So with all that being said, guys, I think that's all the time I got for today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Frankie Candles.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like.